1983, January, a murder took place that rocked the town of San Pedro. Hello, welcome to Convict Inc. I'm your host, Robert Rosso. If you have not subscribed to this channel, please do so. If you like this video, please push like and share it with your friends, family, neighbors, enemies, etc. January 1983, a local businessman by the name of Walter Jelenic walks into his house in Rancho Palos Verdes, also known as Upper San Pedro, where an intruder was in his house and brutally stabbed him to death. Police initially thought it was a burglary gone bad, and then more to the story would surface. San Pedro is located on the other side of Long Beach. It is a port town in Los Angeles, blue-collar town, where back in the 80s at least, everybody pretty much knew each other. Walter Jelenic was well known in the community, as was his wife, Donna. Donna was, I believe at the time, a gym teacher at Mary Star of the Sea Elementary in the high school. I believe. I could be a little bit off on that. It's been some years now. So what happens is the person who committed the murder, Michael Peña, 17 years old, high school dropout, tells his friends. Of course, after you tell your friends, the authorities find out. This murder was a big deal. You've got a prominent business owner that is just brutally stabbed in his home. Things like this didn't go down in San Pedro. I'm not going to say that things didn't happen bad in San Pedro, but when I was a kid, especially growing up in the Catholic school system of which the Jelenic family had kids, it was a freaking huge bomb on the town, okay? And further bombs would land. So what ends up happening is Michael Peña confesses that this wasn't a burglary, it was a murder for hire. Of course, we now know through a lot of crime shows what usually the police usually do when a spouse is murdered. Look at the wife or the husband, and there was Donna. Donna, who was linked to a 22-year-old guy by the name of George Luchev. And when I mean linked, there was an affair going on. Now, George, you can get the flies off me, boom, 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 they're bombing the backboards. George Luchev, friend of mine. Well, I was a friend of his brother, Danny. I met Danny through my close friend at the time when we were kids, Frankie Fimingo. George was 22, so I was 13, so Danny's about 15 at the time. And we got high, okay? So one of the things we did do is we would steal weed from George, or Danny would, we'd smoke it. So George knew us all. We would go to Danny's. They were mechanics. I should have learned something. But we'd go just hang out there, just play, bike ride, skateboard, stuff like that. I believe it was 2 days after the murder takes place. We were up at my friend Matt Philandu's, lived on 9th and Walker. It's a busy corner, actually. The Luchev's family, George, his brother, mother and father, lived on 9th and Patterson, I believe was the street above. So we stole weed from George earlier, or Danny did. And we're over at Matt's smoking. The parents were gone, drinking, doing what 13-year-old boys do, right? At least that's what we did. And again, we were, actually I was in the 8th grade at the time. So we're out there skateboarding, shooting the hill, going down the hill on our skateboards. And here comes cop cars. Again, we were smoking, so we thought they're coming for us at the beginning, if I do remember correctly. And I do remember everybody that was there that night. So, but it doesn't matter. So the cop cars come flying by. And I was looking, what happens next is they go to George's house and they surround George's house. And here comes a helicopter. To be honest, we thought it was narcotics related. So we had no clue of what was going on. What we did when we found out later, when we went to school, especially us kids, George was arrested for murder for hire with Donna. So him and Donna and George paid Peña $5,000 for this hit. I think there was promise of more money afterwards, I believe. So George gets arrested. That was shocking in itself. Donna gets arrested, but she's then let out because there wasn't enough evidence against her. But in February, the evidence came down. Donna was arrested and no bail was allowed. Ultimately, Michael Peña rats, rolls over, confesses, takes a second-degree murder charge. I do not know what he got sentenced to. George and Donna both go to trial. They blow trial. They're sentenced to life without the possibility of release. Now, I do know that George eventually got out. At least, I'm almost 99% sure. I was trying to find out the circumstances because I read his appeals and he had lost. I did about an hour and a half research, to be honest. Donna, I just watched a video of, which I posted on my Facebook page under Robert Rosso. This video is public. Donna was interviewed in prison over a segment about old women in prison or something to that effect. But here's what happened, and here's what I never really knew. I remember there was allegations, so to be honest and full disclosure, we knew that something, even as kids, was up with George and Donna. Okay, there was a little whispers, nothing big. George was a good-looking guy and a ladies' man, so it stood to whatever. Again, we were kids. We didn't know. We were fantasizing about our teachers, so we didn't really know what was going on. And Donna, I do believe she was. I do believe she was a gym coach. I think she was. So, what I didn't know is Donna claims that there was physical, mental, emotional abuse on her, that the husband would put a gun to her head, and that Walter did something to the children. I am not here to say that is okay or you should take matters into your own hands. If that is the case, I don't have much sympathy for Walter. I don't, if that was the case, okay? This was a murder, like I said. This was just a bomb dropped on San Pedro. And I remember watching the Jelenic girls go to school after, and it was even at a young age, it was sad, right? Now looking back and knowing more, boy, I mean, it was a tragedy. I'm not trying to dig up old wounds in San Pedro, by the way. I have a YouTube channel. I am doing true crime mixed in with prison and addiction and recovery stuff. So that's where this comes from. And that I saw the rest of George go down, which was, it was surreal, you know? So at the time in 1983, you got to understand that the Jelenic family was a pillar in the community. Okay, Pratt Hardware Store was a big deal. It was down on Pacific Street. It was a big hardware store. There wasn't places. Donna talks about this in her video. There was not places for women to go if you were battered and stuff like that. Maybe in some of the poorer communities, I would say maybe, okay? But I can imagine somebody like her, upper middle class to borderline rich area, Ranchos, well, yeah, you know, upper San Pedro, whatever. At the time, you know, this is the 80s. Where does a person that has a family that's, you know, known in the community go? Where do you go to say your marriage has failed? You know, I do want to put all that out there. George, look, George was a well-liked guy in school, from what I remember, my sister saying. That was shocking, but he was a bad boy as well, you know. He dabbled in the narcotics, but again, in the 80s, that town was all about weed and cocaine. I mean, it just was, you know. So how that became, maybe because George believed or knew Donna's story about what was going on. And I can see George wanted to take vigilante justice into his own hands, you know, and not get his hands dirty. So you contract it out to a kid was a bad move. I have fond memories of George was a funny guy. I do have memories of, you know, just that George, Danny, Frankie, just that whole stuff when I was a kid. Remember the day when we were at Matt Philando's and that happened. His brother was there as well. Or his brother, well, there was Brett. There was other guys that were there. Just a little memory, San Pedro. I'm going to do Murder on the Mountain here. Girl got killed right up on the mountain. I'll do that here next week. Otherwise, I'm going to do a live tonight about correctional officers. It is Thursday night, by the way. Just a little story about San Pedro 83. Bombshell. Just a bombshell on this blue-collar town. And I hope all the family members involved in the stories I say are doing well or at peace with whatever's happened. And of course, that was a long time ago. Take care.